cup at a time. Yeah, this is tea time. Making a difference, one cup at a time. So be sure to grab your tea, grab a seat, and tune in to Miss Liz. Tea time, making a difference, one cup at a time. Tea time, yeah. Tea time, time.
Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. We are here and we are having tea time again. That's right. So grab your tea, grab your coffee, grab a glass of wine, even if you'd like wine in the morning. Grab a glass of water, grab your cereal. Let's have some morning tea. Let's have breakfast together. So this morning I am joined with the incredible Mary K. Saras. I hope I'm saying it right. I'll get her to say it when she jumps in, but we're going to get a good conversation going. So this morning we're going to be talking about incredible things. We're going to be talking about books, tigers, events, speaking. Oh my goodness, we're going to be speaking about so much this morning. So again, grab all of your stuff. I'm going to just do the intro, the bio, and all of that good stuff. You know how Miss Liz rolls. And then I'm going to get Mary to jump in and we're going to have some good old TEA and we're going to learn what she serves when she serves her tea. So the disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time Live show. Miss Liz myself is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment, please grant StreamYard permission to see your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that the content brought forward for any Tea Time show hosted by myself, Miss Liz, is always brought forward in good faith. However, may bring forward dialogue and opinions that are not representative of my platform. The facts and information are perceived to be accurate at the giving time of airing. All Tea Time guests and audience participants are responsible for using their good judgment in taking any action that may relate to the discussion. The content brought forward may include discussion for some where they may be emotionally at risk. It is significant to know that the show is engaging in discussion forums only to offer and inspire awareness and connection and not providing therapeutical advice. If you have any questions about the disclaimer or the panelist discussion, you may freely contact me, Miss Liz, through my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com. Moving forward, should you choose to voluntarily participate in this morning's show in any aspect, I myself, Miss Liz, welcomes you. And should you decide that the show is not made for you at this time, I will see you at a later show at a later date. And remember, this year on Tea Time, it is Thursday. If there is a Tea Time happening not on a Thursday, it's a rescheduled Tea Time. So tune in on Thursdays. We have 3 shows. We have morning, afternoon, and evening. So let me give you a little bit on Mary. So Mary is an award-winning Amazon best-selling traditional published fiction author and speaker. Born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, she earned a degree in accounting from City University and wanted within the insurance and financial world. Here we go. Good morning, Miss Liz. Known for her quirky titles, Mary debuts novels, has received 5 stars and 8 awards, which we'll be talking about this morning. Tigers loves bubble baths and obsession perfume. Who knew? Is a mystery romance intertwined with the supernatural. Her recent published novel, The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper, is a fantasy adventure trilogy and the first of the StarWriters trilogy, incorporating time travel and romance. Fantasy fans of high school age and older who look for a blend of mystery, history, romance, and self-binding intrigue will relish the journey and discoveries which defy time, space, and death. And we'll get into all of that. And if for Mary's full bio, please check out Mrs.'s Facebook page. Give it a subscribe, give me a follow, and let's really connect. So let me bring in Mary so I can get a sip of tea here. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Miss Liz. Yep, and my name is pronounced Mary Kay Savarese.
Savarese.
Yes.
And I even asked you before we went live, and I was like, oh, it's my tongue twisters, I swear. So, Mary, would you like to share a little bit on you as a little girl and how you got into writing?
Well, actually, it was always a dream of mine. I mean, I love the wonderful introduction you gave, and you mentioned, I mean, my study and background is in accounting and finance. And I got married, I raised a family, I did everything that you do. And guess what? What we do is we put aside our true hopes and dreams because we take care of everybody else's needs before our own. And so this did not happen for me. I put it on the back burner, and I really had to prove to myself that I can write. So I started very slowly. I'm always coming up with a title of a book that I want to work on. And that comes from something that influences me in my life. And I'm known for my quirky titles. So I began over 10 years ago writing, but it took me 10 years before I was traditionally published. And that was my goal. Back then, authors did not have what they have today in terms of self-publishing, co-publishing. So back then I struggled. I just wanted to be traditionally published. And I finally signed my contract, and it was 10 years from the time I started writing. So I never gave up. And that's what I always talk about, is to never, ever give up on yourself.
Well, and I like that you share how long it took, because,
Yes.
a lot of people have this assumption that, oh, I can write a book in 2 weeks. Yes, some people can, but some people want to really take time to make sure that it is the way that they want. And we need to give that message out to the youngsters out there and the children who want to be writers. It takes time to make it really good. And and you get awards when you do a good job. So you have the amazing books in the back of you, Mary. So I want to talk a little bit about Tigers Loves Bubble Baths.
Okay.
I want to get into that one right away, because that one had me. I was like, oh my goodness, we have a children's book about tigers. And I was like, oh, I better do my research. And I found out that was not a children's book. Well, it is for young children, but young adults. Yes. So how did that come about? And why tigers?
Tigers Love Bubble Baths and Obsession Perfume. Who knew? It was actually the fourth manuscript that I wrote. And I spent years and years sending out to publishing houses. And that was the book that I signed my first contract with the small publishing house. And Tigers Love Bubble Baths and Obsession Perfume. Who knew? That is truth. Tigers actually do love bubble baths and Obsession Perfume. And how I came up with that title. And it is a mystery romance intertwined with the spiritual. So I would say age group, 20 plus on, because it takes into account the journey of a woman that was tossed aside like an old shoe after 25 years of marriage. And after one murder after another, will she be murdered next, or is she causing the murder? But the title, Miss Liz, came from visiting an wildlife reserve in St. Augustine, Florida. And this is a old folks' home for big cats. And by big cats, I mean lions and tigers and jaguars and any other type of big cat, panther, that may have been tossed aside from a TV show, cable show, movies, anything. People had tigers as pets. These animals are brought there, and they truly care for them. And it's such a wonderful environment. But these can be old tired cats, and they're giving a whole new lease on life. So this became the metaphor for my protagonist, where they're starting all over. So does my protagonist, Angie Pantera. But as I was saying, at the end of my tour, I come to this, maybe 12 feet wide, 6 feet high, overflowing with bubbles. And out walks this beautiful, on a plank, Siberian tiger, walks across the plank, looks as though he's taking off a rope, slips into this vat of bubbles, and the wildlife handler, thin cage between them, sprays Obsession perfume on his tongue. He laps it up like a cocktail. And Miss Liz, I stood there with my mouth open. I could not believe it, because this is a jungle creature that took on human qualities at that point in time. And just, they could sit in bubbles all day if you let them. And Obsession perfume calms them down.
Oh.
And, Tiger King, a couple years ago during COVID, Tiger King became so big. And what it did in the United States is it set there was so much advocacy going on to protect tigers, not to have them as pets, because they are uncertain creatures. And they actually got the law passed that people cannot have tigers as pets. And that's how Tigers Love Bubble Baths and Obsession perfume, who knew, came about.
Oh, and that's where the cover comes from, because
Yes.
the tiger is like slipping into the bubbles.
Yes.
Yeah, when I seen the title, I was like, oh, a good children's book, because I'm always buying children's books for my granddaughter. And I'm just like, but I did my research and I was like, oh, no, she's a little too young still for that.
Yes.
So where did the murder mystery come from? Is that like a thrill for you, or like an enjoyment?
Well, as I said, that was my fourth manuscript, and I always begin with the title. So I was so inspired by the tigers, and my publisher said, Mary, please tell me there is a tiger in a bubble bath with Obsession perfume. And I said, absolutely, it is my climax. And what I did was I weaved a story where the reader sees the supernatural that occurs, but the protagonist, Angie Pantera, does not. And so that evolved into a murder mystery, and just starting all over in life, as many of us do. And poor Angie, my protagonist, unfortunately for her, it's not the greatest thing. She starts all over. But I always love to bring up some, a positive ending to the story.
Well, and I love that it has some quirkiness to it, because I love
Yes.
quirky. And I love that word quirky. So when you hear the word quirky, Mary, what comes to mind for you?
Oh, that's like my life, quirky in terms of my writing, because I love to bring the reader into a world of fantasy and just, easy reading. You can just sit there, grab a drink, do whatever, relax, get away from real life, because I truly find real life to be too real. So I love the fantasy part, and the fantasy part is adventure. I take you on an adventure. The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper, I take you from the contemporary time to past time, to different parts of the world, and I weave the story, and it's an adventure. I love to take you on an adventure with twists and turns. And at the same time, Miss Liz, what I love is romance. And to weave romance, I just don't weave one romance into my books, several romances, a young adult, a coming of age, a 30-something for the first time in their lives, or older, coming back and having a new life, a new adventure after, as in the Tiger's book, after 25 years of marriage, where you're able to start again with romance. And I do, and I put reality into it in terms of divorce and other situations too. So that's the other side of the coin. But at the same time, I love to take you on a journey with my writing.
And I love that you say different types of romance, because a lot of people say, oh, romance, there's only one romance. There's a lot of different
A lot of
romances
romance.
out there, right?
Yes.
So, what is your top three romances?
My top three romances, you know what? Good question, but I always love the ones, I forget the name. It's a British movie, but I would have to say this is my absolute favorite. And I think it was out in 2013, and it was based on a book where it takes the ordinary, and the ordinary is actually extraordinary. So anything like that, and I love the movies they make out of these books. It's just take me on a journey.
I always love when they take a book and they make a movie out of it,
Yes.
right? Because there's always two different perspectives of the story.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll get really deep into a certain chapter, and then the other times she'll get less into that chapter, right? Where you wanted them to, like, when, if you, especially if you read the book before the movie, you're like, why did they not get into this part? You know,
Yeah.
why
There's
didn't
no
it go
time.
deeper,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
In a movie, there's no time. In the book, they can dwell on so many different aspects, but
So let's get into the second book, The Girl in the Wallpaper. And
yes.
what is with the wallpaper? Because I love the wallpaper. It's like really vintagey.
Well, as you can see behind me, I show you an example of toile. And toile is an everyday item. It's been around for centuries in our lives. We know it when we see it. We just may not know it as it is called toile. And what toile is it tells a story. And in my home, I had moved to Florida, but I lived in Connecticut, and a different part of the United States, colder, darker. And I loved toile wallpaper. I had a lot of it. And I would always pass my toile wallpaper and I saw romance and betrayal, because it's a very vibrant, either wall covering or fabric. And it's two toned, two very bright, appealing colors, and it tells a story. It's not a mural. A mural is one scene, but in toile, you have many different scenes. Toile can offer you anything, just buildings, just contemporary. It can offer you people. It can offer you children. Anything up to your imagination you can put in toile, and you have a story. So that's where I said, that is the title of my next book, and it became a trilogy, The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper. And if you love romance, and if you love fantasy, and if you love adventure, you will love The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper. And I was very humbled, because when the reviews came out, the New York Review compared it to the Doctor Who and to A Wrinkle in Time. So that was unbelievable, very humbling.
Those are two different, completely time travel.
Yes, yes. So they took that time travel aspect, which I do use in The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper, and they extended it. Yes.
And I'm big on time travel, and I'm big on romance. So
Yes.
I feel that life is time travel, right? And that's what tea is. Tea is a time travel. It's the past, the present, and the future. So, Mary, if I ask you what your tea is this morning, what would you be serving me?
Oh, I love it. Well, my tea this morning, when I thought about it, obviously for me, the T could stand for tigers and toile, but I thought about it a little deeper. For me, tea is the time for yourself. As women, we never give ourselves the time to develop this. We may have this internal passion we're afraid to show the world, and we give up on ourselves. And time is the most precious thing, because we only have so much of it. So definitely in my tea, time plays a very, very important role. And the E, embrace life. For me, that's right now at this point in my life, in middle age, And I came to you basically like, how do you make women aware of the struggles in life you have and how you deal with it? And for me, when I became an empty nester, I was so thrilled on the surface and so proud my kids were leaving. But when my youngest was ready to graduate, the year before she graduated, all of a sudden, I was dealing with the situation, first time in my life, where my legs went numb and my arms were going numb. And there was something going on that I had to deal with, and I didn't realize it. And I was ashamed because we're women, we can handle everything. And what I had to do, and it took me, I went into therapy, I did work with the doctor. At that point, I was dealing with severe anxiety, and I had to learn how to control it. And that was an incredible point in my life. And now the writing truly helped me. But I've crossed that bridge, and it was a blessing because you learn so much about yourself, and there's a reason. And what I finally, it took me a year and a half, I finally had to come to terms with this. And this is going to sound very harsh. I had to come to terms with the fact that my family unit was dead. And what I mean by my family unit being dead was the babies I raised, the toddlers I chased after, the teenagers I stayed up all night, sometimes waiting for them to come home from parties. That part of my life was done. And even though I was so happy I was entering a new part of my life, I had to come to terms with that before I could move on. And that's where my writing, which started out as a hobby over 10 years ago, really helped me. Because when I realized when you're concentrating on writing, guess what? Your anxiety isn't there. My arms weren't going numb. But when you're sitting there and you're dwelling on yourself, that's why I think if you have a passion in your heart for something, is to pursue it. And passion in your heart could be for anything. Oh, and then now I have to go on to the A. Admiration of women. And the fact that women, we wear so many hats and we accomplish so many things. And I admire you, Miss Liz, for hosting in this beautiful podcast that you do. But women do so much. And I think I learn from that, as we all do. And I admire it. And if they can do it, you always say to yourself, hey, they can do it. Why can't I do it? And when somebody comes to you, somebody's always ready there to put you down. Go like this, la, 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 la. If it's a passion here, don't give up. Because if I told you how many rejections I had, you just have to build a thick skin. And I loved writing and creating so much that I just stuck with it because it helped me through difficulties in my life. But that creativity it was like a gift for me.
And you've given some really good, strong T words and E words and A words, even as you were expressing your own T, Mary. And I'm like taking notes here. I'm like, oh, really? Wow. And I get that we have to embrace other women. You know, we have to celebrate and support women instead of knocking each other down. Say, you know what, that woman, what she's doing is giving me hope, giving me that courage to do it. Maybe I can't do it like she's doing it, but you know what? I can have that self-belief in myself. If she can get through it, I can get through it. And that's the message that I'm getting through your T. Like your T is time for yourself, embrace life, and admiration for women. Yeah. Like that is a really strong, beautiful T. So I really want to thank you, Mary, for sharing that. And I want to really thank you for pouring deep into your tea this morning, because that's what we do, right? Is we serve strong tea here. We don't serve a beverage. We serve life-changing moments. And, you know, I really want to thank you again, Mary, for being deep and serving strong, because that's the way that we go with tea. I want to get into your books, back into the books again. Now, you got some really incredible awards. If you could share the names of those awards and what they were given to you for.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. As you can see, again, for an author, it is very, very humbling to receive an award, because you are amongst so many incredible authors out there. So my editor would always say to me, And sometimes I would question, why do we have to edit? And it always came back with, because when the book is reviewed, not only do you want a wonderful review, you want your book to win awards. So Tigers Love Bubble Bats and Obsession Perfume, who knew, has won many awards, and it won 5 stars, reader's favorite. It won the International Royal Dragonfly. Now, the Tigers book won for mystery, and it also won the Best Book American Festival, Eric Hoffer Award. It won the NIEA Award, and several categories within that, like different parts of those awards. So to see that was just so humbling, and I was just so grateful for that. Whereas The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper, which was recently published and in the last 6 months, and the publisher does submit your book for awards. So I'm thrilled to say that it has won the New York City Big Book Award for fantasy, science fiction, young adult, and Royal Dragonfly also in those categories as well. And then they're both international awards. And then it was also up for grand prize in and first place. So it received an honorable mention there, but any award is fabulous, because when you think about the amount of books out there that are submitted for awards, to come down to just maybe 10, it's incredible.
And the reason that I got you to name the awards and that is because a lot of people might not even know that these awards are out there. You know, I didn't know that some of them are out there, and I really like some of the names, like Dragonfly Award. Like that is just transformational for me, because dragonflies have that extra wing, right? So it's extra magic, extra mystery, extra romance. So I love dragonflies, and I want to thank you for sharing that, and congratulations on all those awards.
Thank you.
Like really, really congratulations. I am truly honored to sit and have tea with you this morning.
Same here.
You've also been on TV. You've been on YouTube, a couple channels. You've been on the radio in the UK. So how has that changed your life by doing all of these things?
Tremendously, Miss Liz. When I started as an author, nobody wants you on, and it makes sense. They just don't want somebody on and you're interviewed because you just wrote a book. You have to come with a lovely story, and I have many different facets and many stories to share, because I want to empower women, and I would love to talk about this. And then I'm humbled to be able to talk about my books. But what it gave me is this incredible confidence. When I started going on, I'm telling you, I would be sweating, and I would be so nervous. But and you get to the point and you realize you are a professional, and people are relying on you to show up at a certain time. Like if the producer of a certain show said to me, Mary, we're canceling, to me, that's okay. But I would never say, I go out of my way to make sure I show up at the time they request. I'm there to talk about anything they want to ask me. So it taught me a lot of professionalism, and it gave me so much confidence, Miss Liz. It made me a better speaker, because I can go up now and I can talk to anybody, I feel, as a speaker or just in general on any interview. I love it. I've grown to love it.
And I love how this conversation this morning is just flowing. The tea is just so smooth, because let's get into the speaking, because you do speak and you have some incredible topics. So could we talk a little bit about the topics that you use when you speak?
Well, I love to, there are many, many topics that I love to talk to women about. And again, very much empowering. Never give up on yourself. I love to approach a Christian market audience as well, because, do not be afraid to read my books or give my books to your teenagers. And again, life is a journey, but Anybody that asks me to speak to women, it could be any topic. I am willing to go out there and speak to them because I've been in that boat. I've been on the other side. I've been in the audience. And when I listen to these amazing women, and things just don't happen overnight. Many times we hear, oh, this person and they became famous. They put so much time and energy. And one thing I've learned, Miss Liz, it's stepping stones, little stepping stones that may become bigger and wider as we go through our journey in life. But we each have a purpose. And because of that, you have a purpose in life. It's never put yourself down. Always strive for something that you enjoy and that you love. That's your purpose.
So we have a question that came in here for you, Mary. And the question is, I hear the word empower a lot. So when you hear the word empower, what does it mean to you, Mary?
It means to stand up for things that maybe you were afraid to stand up for before, to have that confidence, because I am truly a very shy person. But that to me is empowerment, to speak up for what you believe to be is the truth, and do not be afraid.
I like that. Speak up. I as women, we need to speak up. You know, we need to stop turning a blind eye and saying, oh, well, it's okay. That's not our business. You know, you've got some really strong messages this morning for the women out there. So for the viewers and listeners that are listening this morning, take this tea time and sit and reflect, empower your life. You know, look at your life. Like we talked about empty nesters a few minutes ago. We all go through that as mothers, the empty nester, you know, and we all go through it in different ways.
Yes.
And you brought something really strong when you were talking about the empty nester, you know, the broken family, like broken family unit. I never ever thought of it that way, but it is like that because the unit is broken. It's no longer the same system that we have.
Yeah. And your children are still there. They're just young adults. They're still there. It's a beautiful part of your life, but there's a part of your life that my brain would not let go of. And my writing helped me through that because that was for me. And that's how my career started. My career started as a hobby. And then it helped me with the anxiety. I still deal with anxiety. That does not go away, but I have the tools to positively deal with that. And and you have to remember, it's always a journey. You are always on a journey. And just to try to stay positive through it all, because that makes such a difference.
I really like the messages that you're giving. You're giving a lot of T's and E's and A's. Like my paper here is getting full of messages. I really see strong T with you, Mary. Like you really are a really strong, empowering woman. So I want to thank you for that because you're empowering me right now. You're inspiring me to continue on, you know? And like, even when you gave your T and your E and your A, you gave me 3 T's, like tigers, toil and time, you know, like triple T's, like we're getting triple T's, triple E's, triple A's, you know. During this conversation, we're really actually sharing a lot of tea this morning. So again, look at tea differently. Don't think of it as a beverage. Think of it as a flavor and blend of how you serve your life. So I want to get into a couple of topics that I found when I did some research on you, Mary. And I found that they were really strong topics. So I want to get into those a little bit. And then I'm going to get you to read a little bit from your book. So we're going to do something a little different this morning. We're going to get Mary to read a little bit. So, but I want to get into, it's never too late to start over. And you've said that a couple times this morning. So that is one of the topics that you talk about. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Part of never give up on yourself, and don't think of age as a number. Okay, we go through different stages in our life. So if you have a goal, just because you're not 20 anymore, don't give up on that goal. Again, I can promise you, if you stick with it, if you have the passion in your heart for this, this will happen for you. Not necessarily overnight, but if you stick with it, it will happen. As I said, for me, Miss Liz, it took me 10 years before I signed my first traditional published contract with the small publishing house. And then you think, okay, the books won some awards. You know, it was a bestseller on Amazon. And then I go to my publisher with an idea for a trilogy. And well, that's not what my publisher had in mind. And that was okay. And then I went on that next stepping stone and to a wonderful publishing house, an all women's publishing house that loved the idea of my StarWriters trilogy. And it was the perfect example of never give up on yourself. Just keep trying. Build a thick skin. It's not the end of the world if you fail. Actually, it's a good thing if you fail because it's a learning curve.
I love that you say that, a learning curve, because we all need to fail. We all need to fall in order to get up. You know, if we never
Yes.
fall, how do we rise? How do we find that confidence to get back up? You know, if we're just rising, when we fall, then we actually fall and we don't know how to get back up. So the stepping stones of falling is really empowering as well. So thank you for that. The next one is the kids are finally out of the door. Now what?
Yes.
So could you share a little on that one?
Okay, that's the T. That is the T in T. Time for yourself. Figure it out. How do you figure it out? You don't have to be a writer. What gives you passion? How you know that it gives you passion is you can't wait to get out of bed in the morning and get going and do this. And it could be travel, and it could be volunteering. It could be creating a work of art, anything. You know what gives you passion. And, start there.
And the next one is, what do tigers and bubble bats have to do with me?
The tigers is starting over. And each of us, every day, when you think about it, we start over. And the tigers love bubble bats and obsession perfume. Who knew is very much a metaphor for the novel that I wrote for starting over. But what's amazing is we have this blessing and this ability to start fresh anew each day. And if you could look at it positively and be grateful for that, and to just take little steps and say, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to get this done today. And then just don't be hard on yourself. Just do the best you can. And guess what? You're going to be a lot happier as a person in life.
And I love that tigers are like us, right? They just take that robe off and soak in the bubbles, because all of us women need a good bubble bath once in a while.
It's amazing, Miss Liz, how they become so human, and they love bubbles. You can get on the internet and you can see them in zoos. They love bubble baths. As a matter of fact, this is a wonderful story. So this Christmas, a friend of mine sends me an email that says, well, the Milwaukee County Zoo, their tigers, Toile and Cash, for their wish list are requesting bubble bath and obsession perfume. Guess what? I went, oh my God, this is amazing. So I sent them bubble bath and I sent them obsession perfume. That was so heartwarming to me. It was such a human thing. And these tigers are requesting bubble bath and obsession perfume.
Who knew, right? My favorite animal is tigers, and and I love my bubble bats. And that is so nice of you, Mary, to send them bubbles and perfume.
Oh, it was so much fun, because we, at that time, what I did was, it wasn't just like great advertising for me, but it was for this zoo. It's like, hey, there's a wish list. Send your donation, send this. And we just teamed up. So it was absolutely so much fun and so wonderful to do that.
So we have a
And
question.
the who knew in Tigers Love Bubble Baths and Obsession Perfume, because it's like, who knew? Nobody believes it, but they love the Obsession perfume. In the wild, handlers will spray it on rocks because the tigers will come to it and they kind of nuzzle against the rock. It calms them.
Oh.
Just like a glass of wine, I guess.
Right? And that's what I said this morning. If a glass of wine is your thing, go ahead and grab a glass of wine, because you don't need to drink tea for tea time. So, Mary, we have a question here. So what is the Obsession perfume? Is it a certain brand? Because someone, I guess, wants to send some perfume tigers here.
Yeah. You can find Obsession perfume online. It is a perfume, and it's been around. I think it's by Calvin Klein. It's been around for a long
Those
time.
tigers want
And
good
there's a
perfume.
female version. What?
I said the tigers go for
sorry,
good
what'd you say?
perfume, right?
Oh, and there's a perfume for women, Obsession, and then there's for men too. But it's been around for a while, and they've come to find out that who loves it the most? Tigers.
I wonder if they'll ever do a commercial with the tigers.
That to me was always so amazing.
Right? I wonder if there's going to be a commercial from Calvin Klein with the tigers. Yeah. So I want to get into a couple more topics, and then I'm going to get you to read from the book, and then we're going to get into some fun stuff of Mary. So,
okay.
Want to write. What's that about? You have a topic.
I'm sorry, what was that question, Miss Liz?
You have a topic.
What to write?
Yeah.
What to write? Yes. What to write? It's like if you have an idea, you know what? If you think of it as in totality, your mind's going to explode. Just like in life, if you break it down into pieces, like for me, I write a sentence becomes a paragraph. Before I know it, I have a page. And if I write 1 page a day in a year, I have a book. I have a novel. And so it's really what to write is like very much what to write in our lives, 1 step at a time. Don't think of that whole picture. Think of it maybe in pieces.
I like that you have it like that. And the last one you have is what's God got to do with it?
What is it? What's God got to do with it? I think God's got everything to do with it in terms of your purpose. We each have a plan in life, and that is very much, I love the fact that we've come to this, because The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper is the first of a trilogy, and the second book in the trilogy takes into account the purpose, the plan, and whatever you believe, each of us has a destination, a journey. You know, it's like we each have a prophecy that we're supposed to fulfill. And I love that. And that's the fantasy. That's what I love to write about.
And I notice a lot of triple letters, Mary, as you're sharing. Triple T, triple E, triple A, triple P. You know, there's a lot of things with 3. So is 3 one of your lucky numbers?
Yes, because I was born on the 13th. So I'm always seeing 1-3, 3-1-3. I mean, I truly believe if you just quiet your mind, sometimes you get these little signals in the universe, and it's special numbers. And for me, it is 3 is in there.
See, I really pay attention when my guests
I think
are
it's
speaking.
a very, very powerful number.
Well, and three is a change, right? It's just like with T. It's the time travel.
Yes.
Is the past, the present, and the future. So that's again a number 3. You know, I've noticed that a lot this morning as we're sharing your tea, Mary, that there's a lot of 3s. So now I want to get in, and I asked Mary what her favorite color was, and guess what? She gave me 3 colors. So I do see 3 as a strong number for you, Mary. So the 3 colors that you gave me were pink, teal, and lime green, I believe, or bright green.
Oh, yes. When I see those colors, Miss Liz, they hit me with, I don't know, just like bursts of joy. They offer so much energy. And I love orange. As you could see behind me, the Tiger's book, it's an orange cover. So any bright, bright color, it fills me with energy.
I love orange. Orange is one of my favorite colors too. It just lightens you up, right? It's the sunset color. It's the sunset color. It's just a
Yes.
calming color. I want to get into the wallpaper on the book. Is there a meaning behind the wallpaper?
I'm sorry, did you say is that Toile wallpaper on the book cover?
Yes.
Yes, yes. Oh, my publisher is amazing. They designed the book cover. So they put cover and then they have the girl in the toile wallpaper just falling through it, which is, it tells you right away, the girl in the toile wallpaper, I'm taking you on an adventure. But I love toile too. That's another thing. I look at toile, I get very excited and inspired. It just gives me energy because it tells a story, and it's such beautiful, vibrant colors in wall covering. And it very much, it's a part of our everyday lives. We see it all the time. We just don't realize that it's called toile.
Yeah, because I was like, what is toile? And I'm learning a lot this morning from you, Mary. I'm learning, you know, the different names for wallpaper, the different names. And I noticed the colors in the cover of your book is the blues, the orange, the greens, the pinks, all the colors that you really like. So
Yes.
whoever made your cover, they really knew a lot about you. So
Yeah.
I also asked all of my guests one word to describe themselves, and you gave me the word positive. Why that word?
Yes. I think it's very important to be positive, and I learned that very much when I was struggling with my anxiety and depression. If I find myself trying to look at something positively, it became part of my journey and the learning curve. Whereas if I looked at something very negatively, it would have the opposite effect on me. So I believe, yes, positivity. And I mean, listen, there are good things that happen in our life and there's bad things. And we have to deal with both. And I always try to stay positive, try to look at it logically and deal with it. But I always want to go to that positive side of life.
So now I'm going to do something a little different with you, Mary. I'd like you to read a little bit from one of your books.
Oh, that would be fabulous. And what I'm going to do is read a page from the prologue from The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper, the first of the StarWriters trilogy.
And I think we're getting a little glitchy, and I think the little worms are just biting away on us. So do give Mary some time. She's going to read a little bit from her book called The Girl in Toile Wallpaper. And if you'd like to get any of these books, check out the website. You can grab a copy. I'm not
As
sure.
the dark shadows swirled across the room, a wind as strong as a summer tornado spun and yet moved nothing. Dante hid in the shadows, and the sound of squalls raged through his ears. He inched his way toward the massive windows and darted behind the heavy drapery. Raced, and he gasped when shards of light flashed through the room and threatened his reality. When a lightning bolt shattered, he winced and stepped deeper into the folds of the brick. Standing in the middle of the study, a boy held tightly to a girl in his arms. Dante wanted to help them, but how? The evil man's robe glimmered with each wave of his arm. Dante watched in horror as the man threw the sheets of paper onto the floor. His long golden fingernails glowed in the dim light. As the pages floated, each piece crawled toward the couple as if alive. Awkward sounds filled Dante's ears while ghost-like buildings hovered through the air as if they were nothing more than a wisp of smoke. Now, a medieval scene flashed before his eyes, and the curtains vibrated in his hands. A flicker of an olive tree, and then a farmhouse, and then a vineyard. Are those sheep? Dante's feet refused to move. He was glued in place behind the drapes. The ghostly objects disappeared into the paper, and he trembled in terror. The shadows formed into a miniature print, each arranging itself according to the direction of the evil man. The man was painting a distressing scene through the movements of his symphonic hands. The wizard swiped along the floor, and the girl was jerked into the air. She hovered for only a moment before spinning as easily as a spinning wheel. Then, as if no friction ever existed, the girl screamed, and the wind sucked her into the cloth paper.
And I believe we are
StarWriters trilogy.
But thank you so much, Mary. We did have a couple glitches, but I really love the flow of the story. So you said that this is a romance book for teenagers. So what age for a teenager is a good age for this book? Oh, have I lost you, Mary? I believe we're having some technical issues, but we're just going to continue to flow, and we're going to continue to have the conversation. So if anybody would like to know more on Mary, check out her website, check out her social media platforms. All of her books are purchased on multiple locations, so Amazon, all of that good stuff. And you can actually get your copies directly right from her website. So I think she's back.
Miss Liz, I'm back.
And she's back. So Mary, I was just sharing with the audience how they could get how they could get your books and all of that stuff. So if you'd like to share a little bit about that and any final words that you'd like to give to the listeners out there. Oh, did I lose you again? I think we're having some glitches. So technology does give us those issues at times. So I believe she's here, but I believe she's frozen. So I'm just going to see if she will come back. If not, please check out. Oh, there you are. I was just
saying I'm on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, any independent bookstore. I love to support the independent bookstores, but you can find my book anywhere. A day.
Well, thank you so
We're
much.
having a little bit of a problem, I think.
Yeah, I think the worms. I had Kathy, the Crawley composter, on a few weeks ago, and I think the little worms are just chewing at the wires here. So, Mary, I don't know.
I'm still using.
So, Mary, any final words before we wrap up your tea time this morning?
And we're back.
So did you get my question, Mary? So any final words that you have?
I didn't hear what you said, Miss Liz.
So any final words that you might have for the audience out there?
I'm back.
Yeah, I think the worms are crawling on us. So I'm going to let everyone know that we will be back at 3 p.m. for a second show time. Be sure to check that out. It is going to be adult related. So if you are a minor, I ask that you do not tune in or have a parental guidance, because we will be talking about the magical sex book. So that topic might trigger or might be offensive to some that are not age appropriate. Mary, any final words before we wrap up? I'm hoping that you can hear me and we can get the final message out there.
Again, stay positive and never, ever give up on yourself, ever.
Well, I want to really thank you, Mary, for joining me today on Tea Time and sharing such a strong tea. And for all of the women out there, check out Mary's work, and if you're looking for birthday gifts or Christmas gifts or any of that good stuff, or just a book to empower a young lady out there, go out and grab a copy of Mary's book. And if I want to give a special shout out to radioguest.com for giving me Mary for submitting through that location. If you're wondering where the guests come from for Tea Time, they come from all over. So again, this morning's guest came from radioguest.com. Check them out. They have some incredible guests there. And if you'd like to have Mary speak for you, reach out to Mary. And if you can't reach Mary, you can reach through Miss Liz, and Miss Liz will connect Mary to you. So again, Mary, thank you so much for sharing a strong tea with me this morning, sharing a good wisdom tea, because that's what I got. I got a lot of wisdom from your tea this morning. But before we wrap up, Mary is here. I see her moving, so I want to get a little bit more of Mary in because we still have a couple minutes left. So Mary, I want to get into the taggers one more time. You're raising money for the foundation of the taggers, and I want to know a little bit more about that foundation. Are you there, Mary? And I guess she's frozen. Now, if I can get Mary back here, I'm going to get her to talk a little bit about this, the Adopt a Cat Foundation, before we wrap up this tea time. Mary, I hear you. I don't see you moving, but I want to know a little bit more about the Adopt a Cat Foundation. Can you hear me, Mary? I see you moving, so that's a good thing. Can you get me, Mary? Are you hearing me?
If you can hear me, Miss Liz, I would like to thank you very much. It's been an honor to share tea.
I can hear you, but you're cutting in and out. Good old technology, right? It always playing. It's those little worms are chewing all the time on the wires. I want to thank you, Mary, for joining me as well. I did hear you say thank you. You're frozen again. So I guess we're going to close up this tea time, but I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I want to thank all the viewers and listeners, supporters out there that support Tea Time with Miss Liz. And if you'd like to know more about Miss Liz, you can check out my website. Mary, I really would like to get a final word from you, if you can hear me, about the Adopt a Cat Foundation before we close up this tea time. So I'm guessing that Mary can't hear me, or she's having technical issues on her end. So again, I want to thank everyone, and I will see everybody at 3 p.m. for the second tea time of Thursday. And we will be back again at 7 p.m. with a returning guest, DC Gomez. So she'll be talking about her new books. She was on season 3, and she is coming back for season 4. So again, I want to thank everyone for joining me today and this morning for tea time. And check out Mary and her incredible work. Again, it was an honor to sit and be empowered and inspired by an incredible woman. We need to really empower one another. If we don't empower each other, none of us grow. So let's support women. Let's really encourage women. And let's really take a strong message from this morning's tea time. I really want everyone to know not to give up. Don't give up. Continue on. Carry on. And know that you do matter too. Believe in your dreams. Believe in yourself. And you can go far. So again, thank you. And if you'd like to know more about the TEA that Miss Liz serves, check me out every Thursday, 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 7 p.m. when we do 3 shows. If that show is not on a Thursday, it's because there's a rescheduled tea time. So I will see everyone at 3 p.m. with Frank Wiesner, and we will be speaking about the Magical Sex Book. And again, I want to thank all of Mary's supporters and all of Mary's team for working with me on this tea time. So until then, I will see everyone at 3 p.m. with the second tea time.